And I get teary-eyed because you don't realize as an educator or even as a parent how much impact you make on your children or your students until you hear those words. But for many, many years I've been telling all my students at the beginning of the school year that I do have a favorite student of all time. And of course there's others who try to vie for that spot. But they will not take that away. And what you truly said is indeed the reason why. But what other people need to know that weren't there in the class that time is Tashana came into class every day and challenged me as a teacher. And that's why it was so special. And all the other students would sit back and wait for her hand to go up. And again, at that point, I was teaching the math and the science. And it was great because as soon as she came into the room, if someone didn't know or understand the concept, that hand would go right up and she would ask the question. And it made the year go by quickly. It made the year worthwhile and so much more. So you are my all-time favorite, and you have so many endearing qualities as Mrs. Smith shared. And again, I'm glad that it works both ways because you mean so much to me, and I'm so appreciative that you drove 4 hours to be here, and we'll drive 4 hours to go home. But I will a big hand for this. And again, if I leave anyone out, please don't take it personally. There's just a lot of people to thank. So I just want to say before I read through this, a big thank you to everyone for being here. It's very, very special to me, and it means a lot, and I will remember it forever and hold it in my heart. So I'm going to read my school color little folder, which is actually recycled. It was the poster for the Land of Oz, as you can see, because I am all about that recyclable thing stuff there. So I did recycle, but I wrote, and I didn't bring my reading glasses, so I'll just hold it out here a little bit. Right, Miss Sariano? We get longer and longer. I welcome and thank you, everyone, for taking the time to be here, and to those who couldn't, but sent their well wishes for this event, the legacy you leave, a milestone for me, and a day that some thought I would never give into. But I did, and I did so with graciousness and with full heart, and the knowledge that I have served the children of Brick Township Schools well. I would like to thank, first, my family for planning this wonderful event. I know it means just as much to them as it does for me. They are proud of me, but it is I who is proud of them for always being there, supporting and lending a helping hand. So family, from oldest sister to youngest sister to mom to aunts, cousins, and thank you so much. This is so much appreciated. Brother-in-law, niece, nephew-in-law, brother-in-law over there. Thank you, everyone. My kind, considerate, contributing, and handsome husband, Rick. Aunt Janet liked that contributing, right? She got that right away. And I'm proud of as well. I'm sorry, honey, now that I have more time, I still won't learn to cook. That's out. My Ashley girl, who, through both mine and Rick's guidance, has grown into a confident, beautiful young woman. Friends from school, out in the back there, friends from school and out of school, some had to leave, but some are still here, who always provide their support and encouragement. And my colleagues, whom I've worked with throughout my 33 years as a Brick Township educator. We have Lynn Carino, Janet Sariano, Ro Heckendorn, and what a lot of people don't know is my first year teaching, they were part of my journey. And it was really cool because it was Janet, Crystal, Ro. Janet had first graders, imagine that. I had second graders, and Ro had the third graders. And I still remember to this day our time together, but I also remember Ro Heckendorn. It's like, that new teacher. But I fell right into place. I actually secretly watched them when they were in their rooms, and then I would go back and I would, so you were a role model to me as well. Moving on, then I went to Lane's Middle School. There was Marcy Inderweiss, Mrs. Kelleher. And then on to vets with a very, very dear partner teacher, Mr. Mike Brown, who's here tonight. I was very excited. He deserves a bigger hand. We went to Philadelphia one year, and we walked through the receiving area, and so we were sitting there, and the tour director comes up and says, I don't even remember exactly what he said, but I do remember this. I said, our grandfather over there will take care of it. It was the best. We had a lot of fun, and tea and muffins every morning. And then we would start our day. And muffins. And what did you call me?
A luscious Jersey tomato.
There you go. Excellent. And then I moved over, and there was also Mr. Tony Blanken, who happened to be my 7th grade science teacher. Then I moved over to Vets Middle School. I was with Miss Mary Harrigan. And then I moved into 7th grade, where, believe it or not, Mr. Panuska was my resource room teacher, with Miss Ann Spadacino. There was also Mr. Novak, who was my partner teacher, and my partner teacher with Tashwana. And Mr. Novak was also my 7th grade teacher, so some very wonderful people. And then I went into the accelerated program with Mrs. Renee Richardson, and those of you who remember Mrs. Richardson, she was fabulous. She traveled the world, and she just was an amazing woman. Ms. Kendra Stefanski, Ms. Doris Zarnecki, and also to some Teachers of the Year, Ms. Darla Novak, who we all know from the PLC and some other venues in her journey, Mr. Harris, Ms. Hayslip, and now my current teaching team, we have worked together for many, many years, close to 10 plus years, and we truly are. At one point I called this, not the dream team, but sort of like that. And we would have back to school night, and I would introduce this that. And by the end of the year, a lot of the parents, they caught on and they understood. Because our synergy just melded and we worked really well together. And of course, Miss Malarkey, came from Miss Malarkey, Mr. Fisher, and Mr. Liebman, who spoke earlier today. And Mr. Liebman, I want to thank you, Mr. Liebman, for sharing those kind words, because I didn't remember that story, but when you mentioned it came back. And I want to thank you for remembering that, and I want to thank you for owning that, because that's really what it is all about. And sometimes in our journey as educators, we forget that we're really there for the children and not for us. So I thank you for that. And all the wonderful people that I've worked with in the building who are here tonight, and former students as well as former cheerleaders. I really didn't know who was coming, and I knew that there would be some colleagues and some people in my journey, and I knew that there would be some cheerleaders here, especially the cheerleaders who I had in class. We have such a special bond, and you saw when the video was playing how the girls from the 80s, they were so excited, and we still remember those cheers. And then the girls from the 90s and the 2000s, and then the current group. We remember those cheers because they define us, and they are part of our inner core, and that's the bond that holds us together. So those are really, truly wonderful things, and I know it's cheerleading, but again, that video speaks volumes, and I'm glad that many of you in the room here tonight got to see that who aren't involved in the cheerleading world, because you can see how we got so excited, and it means so much to us. And yeah, we do remember those cheers. We do it. When I began college, I started out as a bio major, and then I switched to business, which was really absolutely boring. It was. And finally, I went into the elementary education program where I found my passion. And a couple of people here tonight mentioned passion, because that's truly what it is for me. It's a passion. So for the past 34 years, I have performed my teaching, coaching, and drama duties with much passion and purpose. I know I have touched many lives throughout the years and played a major role in who they are today. That is true. However, it is those very same people who have touched my life as well, and maybe who I am today. I will end with some lines from a favorite song of mine from one of my favorite plays. I changed the lyrics slightly to suit my sentiments. I've heard it said that people come into our lives for a reason, bringing something we must learn, and we are led. If we let them, and we help them in return. Well, I do know this to be. I know I am who I am today because I knew you. Like a comet pulled from orbit as it passes the sun, like a stream that meets a boulder halfway through the wood. I can say I've been changed for the better because I knew you. I have been changed for good. It well may be that we will never meet again in this lifetime. So let me say before we part, so much of me is made of what I learned from you. You'll be with me. Like a handprint on my heart. And now, whatever way our stories end, I know you have rewritten mine by being my friend, my colleague, my student, my cheerleader, my family member. I thank you, everyone, for being here this evening, for your support, and for believing in me. Thank you.